Hi there and welcome back to this week's trade recap, and this trick is pretty simple. Finally we have a great win, and I just want to show it to you guys because here on Thursday I got my first play of the week. It was my only play of the week and it was a straight up win. And just here on a higher time frame, here we have these relatively equal highs, and this was my draw on liquidity for Thursday. And if we zoom here on the 15-minute, here we can see that we created this trend line liquidity that is literally perfect. This is perfect. Here on the hourly, we see that we have this draw on liquidity, and we are delivering out of one of these rally gaps, the one that it looks more obvious, so usually we tend to bounce out of that. And here on the 15-minute, as I said, we have this great trend line liquidity with this high inside of a rally gap. Here, zooming in once again on the 5-minute, it looks really perfect. So zooming in on the 1 minute, we see that right here, right at open, we had this accumulation, and at 9:30 we left the 9:30 high and we manipulated down. And because here at the 9:30 high we swept these highs, I was a little bit reluctant to take this trade. But something that I said when we created this was that I said this is manipulation, and if we inverse this candle with institutional order flow, which just means there is a lot of momentum, I will take it. Well, it literally happened. We inversed this with one candle. This is clearly institutional order flow after the manipulation, and this is accumulation, manipulation, and distribution, pure AMD. My draw on liquidity on this day was the top of this 15-minute, which was this. But the market maker buy model can also be just this one, where we have the sell side and then the buy side. But apparently we went for the full range. And here on the 1 minute, I entered when I saw this 1 minute inverse. I didn't wait it for the 2 minute because this was exactly what I wanted to happen. So I entered it right off this candle, and my take profits were quite different than where we are used to. Here, my objective was to hold for these highs, but we are in August, and as I have been saying, I don't have a lot of wins. So I'm still reluctant to take big trades. And this trade, if I took it all the way up there, it would be almost a 4-hour, which is something that I'm not used to. So here what I did was that I took my first profit at 1 hour. I entered with 2 contracts and I took my first one at 1 hour, because here if we go on ES, when we swept the 930 high on ES, we didn't have an SMT, but the reaction out of ES was somewhat unusual. So when I saw that this was having an heavy rejection, I took one contract around here, which was for around 1 hour, which is quite okay. And after it, I said that my second contract would be to these highs. We would tap into the low resistance trendline liquidity and we would take these highs, which is exactly what happened. And after we go above the trendline, what we usually do is we just go back up. But zooming in here on the 3 minute, we see that we have this high inside this BPR, and this ended up being my target. What I said to myself was that watching here on the 1 minute, if we swept this high and we rejected it, I would get off. Or if we have speed through it, I will keep my trade. The problem here is that on the first candle we rejected it, on the second candle we started by having this small rejection, and I took my second contract out of here. But after it we ended up inversing this with a lot of momentum, and after it we started respecting this trend line and we went to our draw on liquidity, both of them. So here, something that it is to be learned is that, okay, first it was a great trade, I need to take more plays like this one. I didn't really need to take my first contract on this one. I could have let it to go because this right here isn't the target. My first TP was really discretionary and it doesn't really make sense. I shouldn't have taken it on 1 hour, but it's okay. I didn't take it on negative RR. I took it on a 1 hour, which is quite decent. And I took the second one at almost 2 hour, which is perfect. I really like this trade. I think this is a great place to take profit If I had 3 contracts, I would definitely leave a runner to this highs because this is perfect. But because I only had 2 contracts, I didn't want to risk all the profits that I could have had on this day. So I took profit at 2R, which is okay. The thing to be remembered here is that we could leave a runner if we have one, and I shouldn't have taken the first one just around anywhere because this isn't a place to be scaling. This was the only trade that I took on this week. On Friday we had some decent price action, but this started chopping around, so I don't have any more trades to show. This was my week. I had a great win. I'm really happy with this win. It's August, so things tend to be a little bit worse, but this trade was quite perfect, so let's see if we have some more like this. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to watch more. Bye bye.